So picture this. It's a Sunday evening, one of those gray kind of restless ones where you're half watching something on TV and half staring at your banking app like it might suddenly change. And you're not broke, exactly. Like rent is covered, you've got food, you're fine. But there's this low-level hum of anxiety sitting in your chest because you know, that if anything went sideways right now, like a car repair or a medical bill or even just a rough month at work, you'd basically be scrambling. And the frustrating part, you've read the articles, you've seen the advice. Just save more. Cut the lattes. Invest early. And you're sitting there thinking, okay, but with what? Because after taxes and rent and groceries and the subscription services you keep meaning to cancel, there is not a lot left. There never seems to be a lot left. My name is Josh, and I've spent, honestly, probably an unhealthy amount of time thinking about money, not in a Wall Street hedge fund kind of way, but more in this obsessive, why does this system feel so impossible to crack kind of way. I read studies about financial behavior. I talk to people about their money habits. I think about the gap between what we're told to do and what actually works for real people, with real constraints. And the thing that keeps pulling me back, the thing I genuinely can't stop thinking about, is this idea that the difference between people who slowly, quietly build financial security and people who stay stuck isn't usually income. It's usually $300 a month. Now I know how that sounds. I know. Bear with me because what I'm about to walk you through isn't a get-rich-quick promise, and it's not some oversimplified just spend less on avocado toast lecture. It's something that I think might actually shift the way you see your financial life, not just what you do with money, but how you think about it. And that shift, honestly, is where everything starts. Let's start with the number itself, because I think most people hear $300 a month, and their brain immediately files it under not enough to matter. $300. That's what, $10 a day? It's a couple of dinners out. It's a streaming subscription, plus a gym membership, plus a few impulse buys. In the grand theater of personal finance, where people are throwing around terms like six-figure portfolios and passive income streams, $300 a month feels almost embarrassingly small, like you'd be too ashamed to even mention it at a dinner party. And that's exactly the problem. Because we've been conditioned, through financial media, through aspirational content, through the way money is almost always discussed in terms of large, dramatic numbers, to believe that small amounts aren't worth taking seriously. And that belief, that quiet dismissal of the small, is one of the most financially destructive ideas that exists. Here's a story that really got to me. There's a classic study that looked at lottery winners and people who'd recently become paraplegic. Two groups you'd assume would be at completely opposite ends of the happiness spectrum. And about a year after their life-changing event, both groups reported similar levels of day-to-day happiness. We adapt, we normalize, we adjust to whatever baseline we're handed. Now flip that to money. When people get a raise, they tend to spend more, almost automatically. When they get a windfall, it often disappears within a year or two. The research on this is kind of staggering. We don't save more when we earn more. Not naturally, not without intention. Which means the fantasy of, I'll start saving when I make more money is mostly just that, a fantasy. $300 a month, saved and invested consistently, is not a small thing. At a historically average market return of around 8% annually, $300 a month over 30 years becomes somewhere in the neighborhood of $440,000. That's not a typo. That is $440,000 built from $10 a day. From an amount that most people would spend without thinking twice. The number doesn't feel like enough. That's a perception problem, not a math problem. Okay, but here's where I want to get honest with you, because this is the part that financial content usually skips. It's not that people don't know they should save, It's not that they lack discipline or willpower or some special financial gene that the wealthy were born with. The reason most people never find a consistent $300 a month is because of something behavioral economists call present bias, and it's basically baked into how human brains work. We are, as a species, terrible at valuing the future versus the now. Like, genuinely bad at it. If you offer most people $100 today or $150 next month, a significant portion will take the $100. Even though $150 next month is objectively a better deal. The present just feels more real, more urgent, more immediate, and money, the money you have right now in your account available to spend, that money has this gravitational pull. It wants to be used. There's always something to spend it on, always a reason why this month is a weird month and next month will be better for saving. I've had this conversation with so many people. A friend of mine, smart, good income, genuinely wants to build wealth. And every time we talk about money, it's always, things are tight right now, but in a few months I'll have some breathing room. He's been saying that for 4 years. The months never open up, because lifestyle has a way of filling whatever space income creates. So how do you actually find $300? You stop looking for it after the fact, and you remove it before it lands. This is the fundamental genius of automatic saving. The money never touches your checking account. It never becomes available. It never enters the gravitational field of your daily spending. You set up an automatic transfer, $300 on payday, directly into a separate account or investment, and you make the decision exactly once. Then you stop making it over and over again every month, every time you're tired or stressed, or just really want to order delivery for the 3rd time this week. Automation removes the willpower requirement entirely. And that is not cheating. That is working with your brain instead of against it. Now here's where I want to get a little bit specific, because I think save $300 a month without any direction is kind of like telling someone to eat healthier. Technically correct, not especially useful. The way I think about it, that $300 should probably be doing 3 different jobs, and the proportions depend on where you are in your financial life, but the jobs themselves are pretty universal. Job 1, your emergency fund. If you don't have at least 3 months of expenses sitting somewhere liquid, meaning you can access it without penalty, then this is where $300 starts. Not in the market, not in crypto, in a high-yield savings account that earns you something while it sits there waiting to be boring and useful. I know emergency funds aren't exciting. Nobody posts about their emergency fund on social media. But let me tell you something. The single most financially destabilizing thing that happens to people isn't a bad investment. It's an unexpected expense they have no cushion for. Car breaks down, they put it on a credit card. Medical bill shows up, they put it on a credit card. And suddenly they're paying 20-something% interest on a cost that had nothing to do with lifestyle inflation. It was just life being life. The emergency fund is not a savings vehicle. It's armor. Build it first. Job 2, high-interest debt. If you've got credit card debt, and a lot of people do, more than they're comfortable admitting, then $300 directed at that debt is generating a guaranteed return equal to your interest rate. If your card charges 22%, paying it down is a 22% return. You will not beat that in the stock market, not consistently, not reliably. So before the investing conversation even begins, that debt has to go. Not minimum payments, actual, aggressive, intentional paydown. Job 3, long-term investment. Once you've got your armor on and the high-interest debt is handled, $300 a month goes into an index fund inside a tax-advantaged account, like an IRA or a 401k, depending on what's available to you, something boring and diversified that just tracks the market over time. And here's the thing about this part that people don't fully internalize. You're not trying to beat the market. You're not trying to pick the right stocks. You're just trying to own a small piece of everything, consistently, over a very long period of time. That's it. That's the whole strategy. It sounds anticlimactic, but it's quietly one of the most powerful financial moves a regular person can make. Okay, so we've talked about the math, and we've talked about where the money goes. But I want to zoom out for a second and talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough, which is what consistent saving actually does to you as a person. Beyond the account balance, there's a psychological shift that happens when you have money saved. It's subtle at first, and then it becomes profound. You start making decisions differently. When you have no buffer, when you're living paycheck to paycheck with nothing in reserve, every financial decision you make is tinged with fear. You take the job that pays more, even if it's soul-crushing, because you can't afford to wait for something better. You stay in the apartment you hate because moving costs money. You don't negotiate your salary because the risk of losing the offer feels catastrophic. Fear narrows your choices. Fear keeps you exactly where you are. But when you have $3,000 saved, or $10,000, or even just $1,500, something quietly shifts. You start saying no to things that don't serve you. You have leverage you didn't have before, not in some dramatic way, but in the small daily moments that compound over time just like the money does. A friend of mine told me something once that I haven't been able to let go of. She said, "Money in savings doesn't just buy things, it buys options." And options, as it turns out, are basically the definition of freedom. Not the flashy, Instagram-worthy kind of freedom, the real kind. The being able to leave kind. The I can wait for something better kind. The quiet dignity of not being desperate. $300 a month builds that. Slowly, unglamorously. But it builds it. Let me take a quick detour here, because I think to really talk about finding $300 a month, we have to talk about why it feels so hard even when the math suggests it shouldn't be. The average American household spends somewhere around $200 a month on subscriptions alone, many of which they've completely forgotten about. I've talked to people who were paying for gym memberships they hadn't used in 8 months, streaming services they'd never actually logged into, apps they subscribed to during a late-night impulse moment and then entirely forgot existed. That's not a discipline failure. That's an environment problem. We live in a world that has been meticulously engineered to extract money from us. Subscription models exist because companies know that recurring charges fly under our cognitive radar. Free trials auto-convert because the friction of canceling is higher than the friction of just letting it ride. The entire consumer economy is on some level betting on your inattention. And I'm not saying this to make you paranoid. I'm saying it because there's a weirdly empowering version of this realization, which is that a $300 gap in your monthly budget might not require any dramatic sacrifice. It might just require a single, focused afternoon of auditing your spending with the energy of someone who actually wants to find the money. Go through 3 months of bank statements. Categorize everything. Not to punish yourself, just to see it. Because most people have no real idea where their money goes. Not because they're irresponsible, but because modern spending has been made deliberately invisible. You might find the $300 without cutting a single thing you actually care about. And if you do have to cut something, make the trade conscious. I'm choosing $300 a month toward my future over this thing that I don't actually value that much. That's a completely different psychological experience than white-knuckling through some austerity diet. It's a values decision, and those feel good. Okay, last section, and this one's my favorite. Everyone's heard of compound interest. The math is well documented, frequently cited, occasionally turned into motivational posters. Money grows on itself over time, understood. But here's the compounding nobody really talks about, the compounding of habits. When you save $300 consistently for 6 months, something happens in your brain. The behavior starts to feel normal. It starts to feel like you. You become someone who saves. And that identity shift, small as it sounds, starts bleeding into other decisions. You start tracking your spending a little more carefully. You start thinking slightly more long-term. You start having conversations with yourself about money that are less panicked and more strategic. And then maybe the $300 becomes $350. Because you got a small raise, or you canceled a couple more subscriptions, or you just want to push it a little further because it's working and that feels good. And then $350 becomes $400, and so on. The author James Clear wrote about this idea, this notion that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And a $300 automatic monthly transfer is a system. A small, humble, quiet system. But systems compound. Habits compound. The version of you that exists 3 years into this habit is making different decisions, thinking different thoughts, and living in a meaningfully different financial reality than the version of you who kept waiting for the right moment to start. There's this concept in Japanese philosophy called kaizen, the idea of continuous incremental improvement, not dramatic transformation, not radical reinvention, just slightly better, consistently, over time. And what's funny is that when applied to money, that philosophy produces results that look almost indistinguishable from magic if you only look at the beginning and the end without watching the middle. $300 a month is kaizen with your bank account. So let's come back to that Sunday evening. That gray, restless one with the banking app and the low hum of anxiety. The thing I want you to take from this isn't a spreadsheet, and it's not a 5-step plan. It's a reframe. It's this. The gap between your current financial life and a meaningfully more secure, more free, more intentional financial life might be smaller than you think. Not smaller in a dismissive, just try harder way, but smaller in the sense that the first step is genuinely within reach for more people than the financial media would have you believe. $300 a month started today will not make you a millionaire overnight. But compounded over 10, 20, 30 years, inside a good account in a reasonable investment, it becomes something real, something substantial. Something that would mean your future self doesn't have to make fear-based decisions. Something that gives you options. And beyond the math, the act of saving changes you. It changes how you see money. It changes how you make decisions. It changes the relationship between you and your future, from something vague and anxious to something you're actively building toward. That psychological shift is, honestly, maybe even more valuable than the dollars. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect budget, a sophisticated investment strategy, or a 6-figure income to start. You need a number, a system, and a willingness to let time do the heavy lifting. Start with $300, or $150 if that's where you are right now, or $50. The amount matters less than the consistency, and the consistency matters less than starting, because the Sunday evenings eventually can feel different. Less like dread, more like quiet momentum. And that, honestly, is worth more than any specific dollar amount. Now, if you are looking for a community with like-minded investors trying to get financial freedom, join the Investor Society. We discuss and teach each other about investing, long-term strategies, and more. Link is in the description. Now, if you found this video valuable and informative, like this video, subscribe to this channel and comment your thoughts. I read every single one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.